Well, we received a package today, so let's see what our next challenge is going to be. And open this guy up here. Well, this side's already a little bit opened here, so see what we've got. Well, this is interesting. We've got ourselves an XLT Ranger. Try to be careful with this. All right. Wow. This is sweet. Got a really nice body in great shape here. Let me move this camera up a little bit. So have to strip the paint a little bit and clean up the front grille, but this looks wonderful. There's not even scratches on the front windshield. The front windshield is just dirty, but it looks like it can easily be cleaned up. So this is in beautiful shape. Very tough to find these Ranger XLT hard bodies anymore, and if you do, they're at a premium. So let's see what else we have in here. So the rest of the truck here, it belonged to Glenn. So this, all in all, looks in fine shape as well, just very dirty. So we'll be using the ultrasonic cleaner a bit, I'm sure. And we're missing what looks like 3 cam locks. Believe it or not, these cam locks that lock the radio box down are kind of expensive, even the newer ones. So the newer ones, these have Allen heads, the new ones don't. So the newer ones have different heads, so you can tell the vintage from the reproduction ones. So trying to find vintage ones is a bit tough, but we'll figure that out. Worst case scenario, we'll just use the newer ones, but I'd like to keep everything as original or as vintage as possible and not mix up modern with vintage. So this radio box doesn't look too bad. It's a little chewed up, in the back here, but for the most part, though, it looks like it should clean up pretty nice. It's an old-time battery, Airtronics. So this looks really good. This looks really good. Now the Repro radio boxes are clear, so this yellow tint to it, is reflective of its vintage origins. So this is let's see what else we got. So the tires, they've seen better days, and fortunately we do have spare tires. The wheels, they're kind of yellowed. You can always use Brat wheels as a substitute for these, but we'll see what we can do about cleaning up the wheels. And we have spare tires, so this so far looks great. Really happy. Shocks are kind of stuck, but there we go. Yeah, we'll have to clean those up too. So lots of cleanup here, but overall, this looks really, really nice. So that's going to be a fun restoration project for sure. See what else we have in this box. Oh, it's a vintage remote. It goes with that. Look at that. Yeah, that's old school. I mean, not old school like the old ones with the, you know, with the paddles, but this is nice. Very nice. So there you go. Don't know if we'll ever use this, but you know, it's I'm sure there's stories with it, and it's a nice portal to the past for sure. Let's see what else we have. The tailgate. Very nice. Chrome bumper is in good shape. It's not thrashed. There's still a lot of chrome on it. Just needs a little cleanup. We'll repaint, and we'll strip and repaint. This should be an easy thing to dip in our motor oil for a few hours and wipe out all this excess paint here. So that looks good. And I think that's, oh no, we got something else here. What else have we got here? Oh. So this is our battery charger. Wow, I certainly wanted to protect battery charger. It's heavy, so I can tell what it is. Old school. So that's how you used to charge your old NiCad or lead cell batteries. Here you go. The timer is, you know, one of those spring, you know, calibrated timers that just tick back, you know. So that's, like I said, a nice blast from the past as well. All right. So I think that's it. I think that's all we got in here. Oh, I feel one more thing here. Oh, the AC plug, the wall wart for the charger. Of course. I remember I had purchased this on eBay a while back, and quite honestly, I had forgotten about it. But yeah. All right, so that's it. So we've got our next future project, restoring a Tamiya Ford Ranger XLT, and looking forward to it. So stay tuned. Okay, so let's start taking apart our Tamiya Ranger XLT and restoring this guy. So this guy is not in too bad a shape. I cleaned up the front, the radio box cover. That was a bit of a mess. Took out all the stickers, all the residue from the double-faced tape and everything that was on there. To do that, I used WD-40 and just kind of let it absorb some of the oil, and then the sticky stuff just comes right off. The windshield was intact. It was nice. The front grille, the only thing wrong with it after I took off all the black paint that was there is this little corner here that the chrome it was scraped off. So we'll just touch it up with a little bit of silver paint. Not a huge big deal. So now we're left with taking this thing apart. So let's just go at it. The nice thing is the front wheels had bearings, no bushings. The wheels are okay on this, but we're going to be replacing them anyways. The tires are very well shot. They have a lot of dry rot on them. Okay, some of these bearings are going to be hard to take off because I got to grind down a little bit of the shaft that's expanded from the set screw being tightened on it. Same with this one, but we'll take those bearings out and put these in the ultrasonic cleaner. So I think that's basically all of the parts taken apart. I'm not going to take this apart. I've had excellent success just dropping this whole thing in an ultrasonic cleaner. And so we'll do that and see how that comes out. Outside of that, we have the box, the radio box that we still have to take all of this crap out of. This is double face tape in here, so I'm just basically going to put some WD-40 and just let the double face tape absorb that, and then these wires, we'll just pull these wires out. We're going to need new grommets. These plastic grommets that are in there right now have dry rot, so with age they've gotten hard and brittle. Same with the shocks. The shocks, I'm going to need new rubber gaskets for the ends here for the shocks as well. Those things have also gotten very brittle. So this box, this piece unscrews, comes off. There's there's two little tiny screws holding this box on. So I'll get the right screwdriver and we'll take this out. Let me see if I can do that now so I can show you how that fits in there. There we go. That holds the receiver. And it kept the receiver really beautifully, nice and clean. The antenna wire goes through this little hole on the top of the radio box here. So there we go. Get the receiver out. So the only thing left in here is just the steering servo. And again, this has a double face tape on it. And well, there we go. I'm just trying to be careful not to crack the radio box. The radio box is old and with age becomes brittle. So there we go. And we'll get this radio box cleaned up. Get some of this tape out of here. Okay, again, WD-40 goes a long way. I'll get some of this stuff out, so we'll just spray it with that. The rubber here is kind of dried up. We'll see if we can source some parts for these. It's pretty bad. You can see it's falling apart. And we're just going to leave that one in place. It's really hardened, but there's a screw that just goes in there to hold it on, so it really doesn't do much of anything. All right, so let me get all this stuff cleaned up. I'm gonna throw these things, all the metal, ultrasonic cleaner. I'm gonna take the shocks apart and redo and rebuild them. And we'll go from here. But at least you saw how easy it was to take apart. And putting it together is gonna be just as easy as well, so stay tuned. All right, so we're back.
So I was going to start putting the rear end of this thing back together again. I primed the body, took out all the stickers, used alcohol to take off all of the paint that was, it looked like it was markered on. But what I found was, I don't know, the camera can pick this up really good, but this middle piece is cracked. And that's typically the weakest part of most buggies and trucks, is where the body mount goes. So what I did is, let me see if I can focus this a little bit better. I put super glue along the cracks on the bottom, and then basically put something that an accelerator on it, and so it comes out hard. So I reinforced the bottom of this, but now I have this crack that I need to take care of. So what I'm going to do is fill that with Tamiya putty, and then after it's filled and dried, I'm going to go ahead and sand it down flush. So we'll get a little bit of this putty going here. And I'll just use the putty to fill in the crack. And it's going to take out a bit of the, obviously it's taking out a bit of the primer on it. Should have taken the primer off actually, but it's okay. Okay, so you get the idea. So I'm going to finish filling this and then sanding it down and then reprimering the hood, and we should be good to go again. So didn't want to leave that out of this. This Tamiya putty is really good stuff. I really like it. If I need something harder, I'll use epoxy, but since these are just thin cracks, the Tamiya putty will work just fine, and it'll dry just fine as well. So all right, there we go. Okay, just like in my previous build for the Rough Rider, the gear case is the same, and we're going to basically start off with the same thing. For some odd reason, the ultrasonic cleaner this time didn't clean the case up as nice as it normally does, so I don't know what's up with the metal here. I mean, this isn't real aluminum, so it's not going to be all that shiny to begin with. It's made of some type of pot metal of sorts, but anyways, so that was a little disappointing. But nonetheless, let's just get down to it, shall we? So first things first, I got new bearings. So the gears cleaned up nicely, so that was a good thing. So we're going to get a couple of bearings in here. Basically, there's 3 shafts in here, and each take 2 bearings, 1 on each side. So get these guys going in here, like so. Yeah, okay. So this is the left hand side. So first things first, the hex on this that you see here, I usually just put on this side. This equidistant one goes in the middle, and then the long shaft of this goes through the hole there. Okay, and once we have them in, that's when I like to apply the grease. That way I can just turn and spread the grease everywhere. So we'll just apply a little bit of grease here. And then I just turn this a little bit, get all the grease worked into the gears. Okay, once that's done, didn't really need to apply the grease there. We're ready to put the case together, so put the grease aside. The case needs some sealant to prevent water from seeping in, even though this isn't going to be tracked through water. Probably be sitting on the shelf for a while. We'll still apply some silicone to it. So let me get some of the silicone out of here. Okay. Okay. Got the case in place. We're using these longer screws that we have here. So we're going to have one here. And I have one on the other end. We'll keep it nice and tight and level. And you have one that goes on that side. And then you have these two right here. And then just wipe off any excess silicone. All right, now we got our case together, and it's nice and smooth. So the next thing we're going to do is put the shafts back on. So the grub screw goes towards the flat part of the shaft there. And you should put thread lock on the grub screw along the sides of it, overlapping the shaft so it doesn't vibrate loose. I'm not going to bother doing it because we don't plan on really racing this car of any. So, but if you plan to use it, yes. Definitely thread lock. Okay, so now we have the shafts in place there. So the next thing we're going to do is these guys, the grub screws face up, and this the shock piece here goes towards the front. Okay. Same with the other side. Goes to the front. Okay. Now these guys, what we're going to do here, now these guys here, this is going to come through here, facing up, and then that little post is going to go through here just like so. Just like that. Okay? And that post is going to go through this hole, and that grub screw is going to tighten onto that post. Okay? So first things first. You see this goes into that notch, and that faces up, and then you want to pull it back, and then this post will slide all the way in and into the trailing arm. Okay, so grub screw might be a little too much. Okay, so you basically want that post there to kind of just be kind of flush. That way you'll know it's in nicely. And then you can see this fits right straight into that notch on the trailing arm. And then you can tighten this grub screw, and that'll keep the post from coming out. And then on this other side, we have there's two of these, one for each side, and we have this post that goes in and slides in. And again, just you want to just keep it flush on this side to make sure there's enough post in there for the grub screw to grab onto. So okay. And there you go. This needs to go, there you go, learn from my mistakes, right? I needed to have this trailing arm horizontal. This thing needs to stick inside of this notch that's in here. So let me take this back out and try this again. Okay, slide that post here in so it's flush. Tighten that grub screw. And the other one side is flush as well. Tighten the grub screw. Okay. All right, there we go. So I'm going to do the same for the other side, okay? Really, this I think should have been on the other side. Rats. God's sakes. You'll see why in a minute. It's been a while since I've done this particular model, so you have to forgive me for doing this 3 times, but I can already spot what's going on. Okay, we'll do the other side now, the same way. This has to face front. The grub screws are on the bottom this time. Okay. The reason there was a right and a left is because there is a piece, these two needed to face each other here. Why? Because there's this little copper piece that is going to hold these two things together. So, and then these are notched into the trailing arms. So, you know, there's only one way you can really do this. Okay, so there we go. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is put in the hubs here. The thing is, you can see I've got new bearings. I didn't reuse the old bearings. Not something you really want to ever do if you're restoring a car, because you don't know if those bearings are still good or not. So it's not expensive to just replace all the bearings. So that's what we're going to do next. Throw a bearing onto the shaft. And turn this motor so the grub screw is facing the top. And the flat side here is going to face the top. And then just tighten the grub screw. Use Loctite again after you tighten it. I'm not going to bother myself because I don't plan on running this, but it certainly will be beneficial if you do, if you intend to run it, because the vibration will cause the grub screws to come loose. Flat side up, the grub screws facing the top. Okay, and what I was talking about earlier was this shaft here that goes in like this, and then this side comes in like that. So all right. There we go. Okay. So now that we've got that sorted, what are we going to do next? Let's motor. Let's do the motor next. How about that? So we got the motor cover. Motor cover is going to go like so. And you'll probably want to put sealant on the motor cover. I'm not going to bother, but you know, to kind of waterproof it, you'll want to put sealant around it. So put the wires from the motor through here. Okay. So the screws that we're going to use for the motor case aren't very long. They're kind of medium size. The rest I think are going to be too small, so it's got to be these. Yeah, these are going to be too... Wow, I don't know what happened to this one. This one's pretty bent up. Okay, so... Don't over tighten. The plastic is brittle, it's old, and it will crack. Okay. Once we have that in place, let's put the spur gear and the sprocket back up here. Where did I put those pieces? Okay, now for this, there's this little pin that goes into the hole here on this shaft. You want to slide it through so it's sticking out equidistant on both sides. And then you're going to notice, I don't know if the camera picked that up, that this has little notches. The notches go on the inside. This is a 65 tooth gear, by the way. And the notches here, that little pin will fit inside the notches here. So you're going to have to kind of just slide it and turn it a little bit until you hear it kind of click in place. Okay. I got lucky. It slid right in. So now we have a washer and we have our screw here. And this motor pinion lines up perfectly, and it turns nice and smooth. That's sweet. So then we have our cover. And again, you'll want to use sealant on it to keep the water out. I'm not going to bother because we're not going to run it. And here we can use the shorter screws. Okay, so there we go.